Welcome back to another episode of Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast. I'm your host, Lars.
And I'm Patrick.
In this episode, we are going to be talking about the ships named Enterprise, specifically a Tiermaker version of the ships named Enterprise.
Yeah, we're leaving out the leaving out the non-Enterprise ships, and there's going to be a little duplication. It was kind of let's find a Tiermaker and we'll go with it. So
of course
we're going to rank them all because, well, yeah, we're going to rank them all.
We're going to rank them all because they're all rank. Nah, that's a terrible joke. Anyways, let's get down to the rat killing, as they say.
The decks on the D, because I don't think they change out the cum filters enough. But anyway,
maybe that's what happens when that's what they're talking about when they have to clean out the plasma injectors. Oh, okay. So look at that. Oh, I already screwed up already. Let's see if I can go fix this. There we go.
You screw up already.
We're good. No, it's just because I waited too long. So of course it times out, and now you can do your thing. Thankfully, this time we can see you live instead of just a stupid still of you, and we can see the Tiermaker as well. So let's get rocking.
Let's start with the oldest in lineage, although it was like the fifth or sixth series, depending on whether you count the animated debacle. The NX-01.
Yes, the NX class Enterprise, introduced, of course, in the series Enterprise, which later named Star Trek Enterprise. I like the overall look of this and the design of this ship. Although the variant, the NX variant that Doug Drexler came out with, that would have been featured if Enterprise had been renewed for a fifth season, which included a secondary hull.
Yeah, obviously this was I'm going to put it there temporarily. Obviously this was the ship of its time. It was basic. It had a lot of basic things. It was trying to, from a production standpoint, they were trying to look like the original, only older, but not look like it was a 60s TV set.
Well, and here's the thing. I remember reading some stories about how they designed the NX class, and what they did is the production designers, were invited onto a nuclear submarine, and were able to kind of, take a notepad with them, jot down some notes and everything about overall design and stuff. It was designed to be cramped. I mean, it was supposed to be Starfleet's first major deep space exploration craft, but you still had to think of design economy. You had about 70-ish people, 70-ish crew on this ship. You didn't have a lot of room, so it was pretty tight. I think overall was a good design. If we're going to get into the tier of where I think, I want to put it as a solid B.
Okay.
I mean, you could, if you disagree with me, I'm willing to accept a C. But B is really where I'm looking at it, because it's just, overall, it's a good, simple, clean design.
Yeah. And
I would say it's solid.
From a production standpoint, it borrows from the OG Enterprise and tries to make something that looks like it fits, which it does.
Yeah, it does.
So it's a definitely above average good ship. So let's get to the big boy. Let's get to the original lady, the one that...
The original
not the
Connie.
one for the movies that Kirk apparently wanted to fuck, which, yeah. If you read the Gene Roddenberry outline, yep.
Wow.
Kirk wants to have sex with the Enterprise. Okay, so let's bring her up here. NCC 1701. Do the line.
No bloody A, B, C, or D.
Now,
and that is like the worst. That's the worst Scottish accent anybody has ever done. And
I'd say you have no feckin' Scottish accent. It sucks balls.
I know a few Scottish people would smack you stupid for saying feck. Feck is more of an Irish colloquialism. It's not even really a part of their speech, like a everyday use. Anyways,
Yeah.
I digress. But yes, this has to be
But
in the A row.
see,
I'm sorry,
it
it's got to be
sounds
in the A
good
row.
for Americans, but okay. So I'm going to start her in the A tier. Now we're talking about both the OG from the original series and animated series, and the updated Pike version.
Yeah, this is
Strange New Worlds.
this is what we refer to as the Connie. This is the Constitution class, the original OG one, prior to Andy Probert's redesign for the motion picture.
Which we'll be getting to in a couple steps because we got a little bastard in between.
We do?
Now, again, this was supposed to be the classic, beautiful thing. Although originally it was supposed to be upside. Originally it had the engineering section on the top and the saucer on the bottom.
Right.
But
Yeah.
then they flipped it over and said, "Hey, it looks better this way." Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Matt Jeffries that they did the original design, and they were like, "Oh, I think he brought it like it was brought into the design meeting upside down by mistake." So they, of course, they saw it the way we see it, with the saucer section on top and the secondary all below, and so on and so forth. But yeah, anyways, it was meant to be brought in and shown upside down, but for whatever reason, they brought in somebody set it down the other way, and they're like, "Oh, it looks great." He's like, "No, but it's upside down." They're like, "No, it's good." But definitely,
Yeah,
it has to be an A tier. I mean, for me, it has to be A tier because it is the OG Enterprise. It is the first
also,
of their
if you
name.
look at if you look at every other ship that comes after it, even when the redesign for the NX-01 borrowed from this one, so she's the OG.
Yeah, actually,
Obviously, Strange New Worlds version, even better looking, much better design, much more detailed, and doesn't look like a 60s set.
yeah, and funny enough, if we're talking about inspiration for design, I mean, Doug E.D.'s NX class was partially inspired by the Akira.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously, this was the OG version. This is the one that was designed for the original production for the original series. Also, worth noting, I should have had it ready, and I'm sorry. I have a picture of me in front of the screen used Enterprise model that is currently on display at the Smithsonian.
Okay, so we know you suck. Got it. But yeah, definitely A tier. I don't think she makes the S tier because.
Well, no, and if you were talking about overall design, I mean, it is a wonderful. It tugs the heartstrings. It is a phenomenally good design, but there are better designs, I feel.
And if you're Kirk, you're tugging to it. But oh well. So speaking of Star NCC 1701, let's talk about this beast. The one with the Apple Bridge and the brewery engineering.
Yeah,
From the Kelvin timeline.
I wanna come at this from the standpoint of like not just using my dislike of the alternate series or the Kelvin timeline movies against it. It's not a bad design. I just don't like it. I feel like they just kind of went a little sideways on it unnecessarily. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, it's kind of a mix between the OG Constitution class design and the Galaxy class, because if you look at the nacelles, you see that they're sort of curved and swept a little bit, as opposed to being more straight, like like Matt Jeffries' original design.
Although every nacelle other than that one's pretty much straight out. Well,
Yeah.
actually, when we get to the
If I had to give it my gut feeling, like my logical leaning on it, I would say C tier.
Okay, we're putting her in the C tier because she was.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
the thing,
it was style over substance in this case.
yeah, and the thing is that if I went with my my heart, I would tell it I'd dump it into the D tier, and it's only because I don't like the movies. It has nothing to do with the design, so I have to be a little bit more lenient on line. I mean, it's not bad, but it has some weird things. Like I remember having a discussion with Andy Probert about it, and he really did not like the redesign for the Abrams Trek movies, largely because he felt that there were certain design aesthetics that you want to use for designing starships in Star Trek, and he felt like they added things that just weren't necessary, like the little sort of mini cannons that were used to shoot down missiles and stuff like space missiles and all that stuff.
Interceptors?
Yeah, and I mean, it was okay. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad design, but I can see where he's coming from. You know, these ships were not designed to be warships. These ships were designed to be exploration ships with defensive capabilities, and he feels like that was leaning more towards offensive weaponry than defensive, despite the fact they were really usually primarily used to defend the ship. I mean, but still.
Yeah. Okay, so that means we bring to the redesign, which was NC 1701 and 1701A. We'll just call it the 1701A because because it lasted. The original redesign lasted for 3 movies. Came back at the end of Star Trek 4, and we got 2 movies with her.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I want to put it in. I want to put it in the A tier, but I want to put it ahead of the original. And largely, I want to do it because I felt like it was a much nicer and overall design. Of course, you know, anybody who knows anything about Star Trek knows that this version was the redesign by Andy Probert for what was originally called Star Trek Phase 2, and then, of course, became Star Trek the Motion Picture. The overall look for me, it felt more organic. It didn't feel like stuff was attached to other stuff just for the sake of making it bigger or badder or cooler. It felt more organic, like even to the point of the design of the deflector dish. If you looked at there in the front, it's more concave as opposed to a physical dish stuck onto the front of the secondary hull.
Plus, you get actual lights illuminating the outside, so that
you get the running lights. And then of course you get more detail, and you get more texture on the hull plating, which was that was another thing that Andy Probert was famous for, is putting a lot of thought and detail into the texture and overall look of his starship designs. And we'll get to another one of his designs in 3? I think 3.
And I will say that when they redid the Connie for Strange and New Worlds and Discovery, they incorporated a lot of those textural things to make it look more organic. But
it was a good crossover. I mean, definitely a good crossover.
Yeah. So let's get to the next one. 1701B, commanded by Cameron, appeared in Star Trek Generations, got Kirk apparently killed, and that was all we saw of it.
I want to say that it's okay being in the B tier, but I'm going to
set it there temporarily.
I almost want to move it into the C tier because it is just a repurposed Excelsior design. That's literally all it is.
It is an Excelsior class. The Excelsior class and the Excelsior classes came out during, obviously appeared originally in Star Trek 3 and was still in use by the Next Generation.
Yeah. Because we saw the likes of the Hood and stuff like that in TNG that was an Excelsior class.
Whereas because they had the model laying around or not, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But I am going to put it up in front of the Abrams abomination.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
I think that's going to be as close to we getting as D tier as possible, but not D tier.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
So yeah, I don't think we're going to have a ship in the D tier.
Maybe.
Just because.
I guess we'll see.
And now probably ship we saw in only one episode, and it got its ass kicked. The Ambassador class 1701C.
Yes. I like it, actually, because it shows a definite evolutionary step between the Connie class, or the Enterprise class, as we call it, the refit Enterprise, and the Galaxy class. You can start to see there is still the distinct primary, secondary, nacelle, swept back look of the engines, but it does feel closer to a Galaxy class than any other one does of the ships that they used for Enterprise. The Enterprise NCC 1701C, Captain Rachel Garrett's ship, where we also got to see Lieutenant Shooter McGavin. I mean,
I'm surprised she's back, Tasha Yar.
Yep.
The best Tasha Yar episode, of course.
I would say I'm okay with this being in the C tier, but I would put it above the 1701B, because again,
These two ships were not distinguished, and fuck you, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah,
got it.
In fact, actually, let's just move. I want one ship in the D tier. Let's put the Abrams Trek one in there.
Just because it's the dorkiest looking.
Well, yeah, and just because fuck you, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. And I will say this. Here's the thing. I will say this. None of these ships are bad. We're not putting an F tier or this ship should be condemned. All these ships are good. We're just trying to get a relative ranking. And we still don't have an S tier. Although I have my favorite as to which one I think needs to go there because she's just beautiful.
No, fair enough. Okay. All right, so let's move on to the next one, which of course is yet another Andy Probert design, the Galaxy class starship. You can go ahead and throw that right into the S tier for me, but you can pop it up at the A.
I'm going to argue that point. I'm actually thinking to putting it in the B tier.
And why is that? Is it just because of is the B tier more because it is a somewhat unconventional design when it comes to Starfleet ships?
Here's the things. Why I want to do not want to put it in the S tier under any circumstances, although I love the Galaxy class. It's this big, giant saucer with a little thing underneath, filled with families, and they're getting into deep shit every week.
Well, yeah, you have to, because it was a space adventure ship, space adventure show. But the ship itself, its design was exploration, so it was designed to have families on board so that they could go further afield without having to keep coming back for shore leave and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So yeah, I get why they did it, but they're just, I don't know, something about that just rubs me the wrong way. So I would say that little quirk disqualifies it from the S. I kind of almost want to put it in the B tier, but we'll put it at the top of the A because it's the D.
Yep, I agree. I mean, the ship itself is a fun design. I really wasn't a big fan of it for a while, but it's grown on me. Maybe because I play it and we're in STO when we're playing Star Trek Online. My ship is a
we got
Galaxy
7
class.
seasons and a movie out of it, so.
Yep, exactly. All right,
and then Deanna crashed the damn thing.
So we got one left.
Enterprise E.
Yep, the Sovereign class.
And let's put it this way. When I was hold on, I did not intend to put that there. We're gonna put this ship is just beautiful in every way. I kind of want to put this to the S. Where were you gonna put this bugger?
The Sovereign class. It was either gonna be A or S. Because for me, it was a toss up between the Galaxy class and the Sovereign class.
Okay, if you're thinking that, I want to put that at the top because it is a beautiful design. It is a meaty, deliciously good ship. We only got 3 movies out of her.
Yeah, true. But we've seen it. We've also seen it, in
other than Riker grabbing the joystick, everything in that ship just looks awesome.
I want to say that was yeah, what was it? Star Trek Nemesis, aka Star Trek Flight Simulator. But still, yeah, no. I mean, the Sovereign class is just beautiful. It's long, it's sleek. It's just got a. It's
You
got
forgot
a.
about Insurrection, didn't you?
What's that?
Insurrection's the one where he grabs the joystick.
Is it? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Insurrection.
Yeah, I know.
AKA
You forgot about Insurrection because it's Insurrection.
And actually, Insurrection is not the worst Star Trek movie ever. I still think that
Nemesis is.
yeah, that's another, like, I'm really seriously, Nemesis, and it's a tough call between Nemesis and Star Trek 5.
Although Star Trek 5 has cheese going out the ass. It's terrible, but it's fun to laugh at.
It's a good popcorn movie is what it is. It's a good Star Trek popcorn movie. Nemesis was them just milking the teat dry to the point where, look, I mean, okay, so you had, I know we're kind of off topic a little bit, but you had First Contact, which was just kick-assery. You had
favorite of the Star Trek movies. It's a baton.
You have Star Trek. Yeah, Star Trek Insurrection, which in itself, you got to give Jonathan Frakes credit, because it was, while it was a socially important topic to discuss at the time, still they kind of really just they just really they ran it backwards. It just really, they didn't do Frakes justice. And then as a result of it not doing so well, they end up giving Nemesis to Stuart Baird of all people. So yeah, I mean, can you imagine what Nemesis would have been? Yeah, do you know what Nemesis would have been like if they had let Frakes back behind the director's chair, or behind? Yeah, like
Tom Hardy probably would have almost quit acting.
Yeah. Yep. So, but anyways,
yeah,
I think we've got a pretty good balanced list there. I was really quite surprised that we had three ships in the A tier, but come on, I guess I really shouldn't be all that surprised, because they are beautiful designs. It's the OG. It's the redesign, and it is the Galaxy class, and that is much love to Andy Probert. Yeah, of course you love the D.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean that's
obviously the ones that didn't have their own series or movies ended up in the C tier, and yeah, Abrams is at the bottom of the list. But again, the D tier here is not a bad D tier. It's, yeah, you're the worst on the list, so we're assigning you D tier for just stupid shit.
Yeah. So if
literally blinding us with lens flares, you asshole.
So if anybody has any, I guess, if you have difference of opinions, if you don't agree with us, if you do agree with us, please let us know, and comment on this video and let us know what you think of our choices and how we could have done it better, or how we could have done it worse, or whatever. I mean, we don't care. We just want to know that you guys are watching this and you're enjoying the type of content that we're making. As such, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this content. Tongue tie. I'm going to wrap up this episode, and I'm going to bring us back to neutral, and just say, hey, if anybody wants to see anything particular this season, let us know, because we're still putting together episode ideas. We will be having some people come together and join us for discussions and whatnot. Of course, please, take the time to see these little things down here. That's our social media. Please look us up. Please follow us. Please subscribe to our podcast on where you get your podcast: Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all that good stuff. So, that being said, that is all the time we have for this episode of Treknicity. I'm Lars.
I'm Patrick.
As always, here on Treknicity, we encourage you to rock out, wait you spock out, and we will see you next time.